This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Mark Martin. Tremendous light at the end of the tunnel. President Trump offering those reassuring words during the worst week so far in the coronavirus crisis. There are strong signs the pandemic is slowing and the markets are responding positively. What does this mean moving forward? Dale Hurd explains.
Even as America's coronavirus death toll continues to rise, President Trump is sounding hopeful. And there's fresh evidence the worst could soon be over.
We're going to have a rough week. We're going to have maybe a little more than a week. But there's tremendous light at the end of that tunnel.
In New York, the epicenter of the U.S. outbreak, the number of hospital admissions, deaths, and ICU patients is down for the third day in a row.
Those are the kind of good signs that you look for. You never even begin to think about claiming victory prematurely. But that's the first thing you see when you start to see the turnaround.
The director of the Centers for Disease Control says he believes the projection of the U.S. death toll could be much lower than expected. And a University of Washington model now predicts the peak of the outbreak as soon as April 16th, with a death toll of 82,000. While it's a respected model, it varies from others, and federal and state leaders are still preparing for the worst. But Vice President Mike Pence says social distancing is working.
The initial data, what we've seen in California and Washington, support the fact that the American people are doing these things, which is nothing short of loving your neighbor.
But New York hospitals are still overwhelmed. The naval ship Comfort is now treating COVID cases from New Jersey as well as New York. And a crew member on board has tested positive for COVID-19. And as the number of deaths increase daily, funeral homes are now also overwhelmed.
You do 3 or 4 a week. We're doing 3 or 4 a day.
New York is extending its stay-at-home order until the end of April, with fines doubling for not social distancing. Meanwhile, administration critics are seizing on memos by White House advisor Peter Navarro in late January and February, calling for aggressive action to prepare for a potential pandemic and raising questions about the president's handling of the crisis early on. In Britain, Prime Minister Boris Johnson has been moved to the intensive care unit of a London hospital after his coronavirus symptoms worsened. But aides say he is conscious and does not require ventilation at the moment. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has announced a complete lockdown in Israel over the upcoming Passover holiday to control the country's coronavirus outbreak. But in Europe, news that Italy and Spain are also seeing numbers drop has some optimistic the worst may be over there. Fueling a bump in global markets was reflected on Wall Street Monday, with the Dow up almost 8%, as traders saw hope the coronavirus outbreak could be slowing. The president and Congress are apparently in agreement that more economic relief is needed, with House Democrats reportedly considering a package that could surpass $1 trillion. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
8 people were arrested in Charlotte after they were part of a group gathering outside an abortion clinic. I spoke with Todd Starnes about the story and the debate over why it's not okay for them to gather at this time, but it is okay for the abortion clinic to continue operating. Todd, tell us what happened in Charlotte outside this abortion clinic.
Well, this is a pretty disturbing story. In the state of North Carolina, the governor there has determined that abortion clinics are essential services. And so they are still continuing to abort unborn babies at these facilities. Well, a very prominent pro-life organization in Charlotte decided that they were going to conduct a peaceful protest outside of the abortion clinic over the weekend. And several very high-profile people were a part of this group, including a couple of friends of mine, David Benham among them, from the Benham brothers. And they were practicing social distancing, maintaining all the things they were supposed to do under the law. And the police came and they threatened to arrest anyone who did not leave. When the people did not leave, they arrested everyone, including David Benham.
Wow. Well, when it came down to the last 8 people, were they still in violation at that point?
Well, apparently they were, and this is the problem, and this is the way I see the story. If you are telling me that an abortion clinic is an essential service during a global pandemic, then by golly, I believe that it is essential for pro-lifers to get out there and peacefully protest outside those buildings.
Todd, what are your thoughts overall on what happened? Let's talk about the big picture here.
Big picture, we are looking at a very dangerous situation developing across America. I've been getting a lot of emails, a lot of calls to our radio show. We are watching de facto police states pop up in many of these small towns and large cities, and quite frankly, in some large states. In the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, for example, a 19-year-old girl was cited by police because she was out for a leisurely drive. She was not violating any social distancing rules. She was just out for a drive, but the police told her leisurely driving is not allowed under the emergency order. Over in San Francisco, an elderly man well into his 80s was arrested outside of an abortion clinic because he was protesting in defiance of the law there. And of course, there was a rather viral story out of Malibu where a paddleboarder was hauled out of the water by the lifeguards and was arrested for violating social distancing laws. And again, I'm not quite sure when you look at the video, that there was no one around the guy unless there was maybe, I don't know, a school of dolphins nearby.
Wow. Well, there is a big debate over why states are allowing abortion clinics to remain open as essential services. Is arresting these protesters just another sign of a double standard when it comes to the abortion industry? What's the larger concern here?
Well, the larger concern here is that that Democrats are playing politics, and there's no doubt about it, in my estimation, when you look at what's happening. We're in the middle of a global pandemic, and it seems to me, if you want to talk about violating those social distancing rules, what exactly is going on in that abortion clinic? I guarantee you, if the police had gone inside, they would have found out that those doctors and nurses were violating those orders as well. So there is a double standard here. It's against the law for protesters to stand outside 6 feet, 8 feet, 9 feet apart to peacefully protest the murder of unborn children in America. This is not the America our founding fathers created. This is the America of the socialist and the communist. Unacceptable.
All right, Todd Starnes, thanks for bringing us this story, sir.
Thank you.
It has been weeks since the COVID-19 pandemic shut down public and private schools across the country. Many parents are now forced to educate in a way they never imagined or planned. CBN's Heather Sells shows us how parents can make sure their children's education doesn't suffer.
A deadly virus.
President Trump's decision to extend social distancing guidelines will likely lead most states to close school through the end of this school year. States operating under stay-at-home orders have now interrupted education for at least 64,000 schools. That means for millions of public school students, they are now shifting to virtual learning. And that means their parents must oversee and even teach those lessons. Erin Weideman is a sought-after homeschool consultant, certified teacher, and nationally recognized speaker from San Diego. She says give yourself some grace as you face this new adventure.
As you start out and, you're, like I said, you're trying to juggle all of these things, is set some expectations. Call a family meeting and invite each individual family member to speak about what they would like this situation to be. You can use this time to review your family values and really allow those values and your faith to steady how you're going to move forward in this season. So it creates way less pushback. It gets every student in your classroom at home to buy in to the overarching theme, which is we're here to work together, we're here to be a family.
With the school year in question, Weideman advises parents to take this new virtual learning day by day.
So parents, I definitely want you to hold your schedule with an open hand and think of it more like an ebbing and flowing routine where you're going to put some parameters in place that you feel like will get you in a good rhythm, but then you're going to assess those rhythms daily and see what's not working and change it if necessary.
Additional resources are pouring out from homeschool experts and educators across the country right now. The Texas Homeschool Coalition has created a free website with actress and homeschool mom Sam Sorbo as a partner. She hopes it will provide encouragement.
I'm personally hopeful that this will convince a number of parents that they are actually adequate and equipped to teach their children. The website offers right now, we've got K through 5 available for free. It's absolutely free. It's a full-on curriculum. It will guide your day. It's how to schedule your day, because I know there are a lot of parents who need that.
Some school districts are now considering summer school or starting the fall semester early to make up for lost learning. For now, Sorbo says she wants parents to know they are fully capable of successfully teaching their children.
We have to understand that God calls us to educate our children, but we are educated in a system that teaches us that we are inadequate. And that's why the number one pushback that I've experienced from parents is this idea, I don't know how. The reason that you feel that way is because that's what you were taught. You were taught that you can't do anything that you haven't been formally instructed on. And I'm here to tell you, not only can you, it's the most rewarding thing that you will do as a parent is to educate your children. And the relationship that you will be able to have with your children as a result of that is beyond your wildest dreams.
Heather Sells, CBN News.
Stay with us for the latest on the coronavirus as we provide updates on the CBN News Channel and on CBNnews.com. Coming up, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has announced a complete lockdown for his country, like you heard earlier. Well, during the upcoming Passover holiday, he's doing that in order to control the country's coronavirus outbreak. We'll bring you a look at how that's playing out when we come back.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
You know, I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Welcome back to NewsWatch. Jewish people in Israel and around the world celebrate the biblical holiday of Passover with a festive meal called a Seder. But as CBN's Chris Mitchell tells us, with Israel under lockdown, this year's won't be the same.
It's usually a big, multi-generational celebration. Family and friends gather together for a meal and recount the Exodus story of how God delivered the Jews from slavery in Egypt.
Passover is a memorial, and it's a remembrance of God's act of redemption on behalf of the Jewish people to bring them out of slavery, bring them into the Promised Land, in fulfillment of his promises to Abraham and fulfillment of his covenant.
This year will be different as the world deals with this real-life plague known as COVID-19.
כי סדר קטן A small Seder is a safe Seder. This year, more than ever, we will adopt the Passover festival of our forefathers in Egypt, Passover in houses.
In Israel, only people living in the same house are allowed to sit down for the Seder together, so many will be alone.
This year, on the holiday, people will be separated from one another. It's a holiday that will be the opposite, but it also teaches us that the Holy One also loves each one individually.
We're going to be huddled together in our homes in isolation, socially distanced from the world around us, just like they were in the time of the Exodus from Egypt.
That prompted rabbis to ease decades-old rules forbidding use of electricity on the Sabbath and holidays in order to allow Orthodox families to enjoy Seders via Zoom.
You got grandpa or grandma by herself when she should be with her children or grandchildren, even in my mother's case, in my parents' case, their great-grandchildren. So because of the fear that it could be very dangerous psychologically, even physically to these people, the stress could kill you.
Other rabbinical rulings have also been changed, like burning the last bit of chametz or leaven outside just hours before the holiday begins.
I remember I've been here in the Gulf War. I remember you had to walk around with your gas mask, similar thing. And if the siren went off, you ran for cover, but life went on. Yeah. This is unlike anything. Everything is just shut down.
In the biblical account shown here in CBN Superbook for Children, the plagues are listed: blood, frogs, lice, cattle disease, pestilence, boils, hail, locusts, darkness, and death of the firstborn.
Every plague actually is dismantling of one of the gods of Egypt.
What saved the Jewish people from the last plague was putting the blood of a spotless sacrificed lamb on the lintels and doorpost of their homes.
In Exodus chapter 12, we see the final plague, where God says to the Jewish people, he says, go into your homes, isolate yourself, do not leave your house because there's something bad outside.
Boaz Michael from First Fruits of Zion sees similarities to this today.
We're now being told that we have to stay in our homes because there's something essentially bad that will harm us outside.
Near the beginning of every Seder, the youngest child traditionally sings the question, Ma nishtina halayla hazeh? What's different about this night? No doubt this year's answer will be remembered as very different for years to come. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
It sure will be. Well, still ahead, the coronavirus outbreak has disrupted lives all across the country, including college students. We're going to hear from a Christian college president who has some ideas about how students can thrive during this difficult time.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy?
How many nickels are in a dollar?
There are 20 nickels in a dollar.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times best-selling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain, get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, Get the DVD, Protect Your Brain, and get it today.
Thanks for staying with us. A Christian college president is out with a new book on making the most of your college years. He wrote it not knowing, of course, that students would be facing COVID-19. But as he explained to CBN News' Wendy Griffith recently, the book is actually still a great guide for students with ideas that can help them thrive in the middle of the coronavirus disruption.
Biola University is a Christian college in Southern California that has shifted to remote education. And joining us now is their president, Dr. Barry Corey. Dr. Corey, thanks for being with us.
Wendy, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
You wrote a book, Make the Most of It is the title, I believe. It's a guide to maxing out your college years. You, of course, had no idea that students across the country were about to have their education disrupted when you wrote it. Tell us what it's like for students going through this time.
Yeah, well, yes, I did not expect this to come when I wrote the book. The book is just actually coming out this month. So, yeah, so Biola has shut down, like virtually every college campus in California. Our students have, by and large, gone home unless they have no home to go to or other extenuating circumstances. And there are some students left on campus, but our students are home. They're studying remotely. We're stepping up the game, and our faculty have been heroic during this time. We had the infrastructures in place to make this much more manageable, but we didn't see it coming. And so my encouragement to students is discipline yourself during these times of your life where there are major disruptions in order to instill in yourself the kind of habits you need for any circumstance that comes your way.
That's a good word. Well, you write in the book about anxiety in normal college life. You know, let's say anxiety times 100 now is what they're probably going through. What is your encouragement to college students right now who are wrestling with anxiety?
Well, I think like the best practical advice that I could give, and it actually is embedded in the book as well, is to structure your life around some really healthy rhythms. And I was on the phone or a conference call this morning with a bunch of journalism students in their class and just told them it's easy to let things go during this time, to go to bed whenever you want and take naps and sleep in and just kind of maybe go amok on social media and put your class off. So I said, like, discipline your class time. If your class is being offered online but maybe not live, take that hour-and-a-half period twice a week to study that chemistry class. If you need some recreation, write it into your schedule. You know, go on a hike or read a novel or stream a film or bake bread or go on a long bike ride, whatever it might be. Schedule that time in. And sleep really matters now more than ever, I think, during stressful times. To have a set time to go to sleep and a set time to wake up in the morning and a time that you're going to be actually socializing with your friends. Schedule that in and stay connected so you don't isolate yourself or stagnate alone at home. And so there are patterns, healthy habits of the heart and patterns that right now during this time of disruption, students need to live into even more.
Some leaders in higher ed wonder about the long-term impact of this pandemic and social distancing on education. Dr. Corey, what are some of your thoughts? Could it shift how we view online education? Might it prove financially disastrous for some schools and for some students?
Yeah, I think college presidents across the country right now who are saying, like, I can't wait to get back to normal, I think that's the wrong approach right now. I think our question is, what is the new normal? And how are we learning from this disruption? How are we pivoting in a way that this becomes not something that we live through, but we learn through? Because I do think things are going to be changing dramatically in many of the sectors and industries, and certainly higher education is one of them as well. I do feel that residential higher education is something that we hold as precious, and that is going to continue on for as far into the future as we can see. But I think there are going to be some adjustments to that and ways in which students are thinking about augmenting their education hybrid in ways that it might not be like we've seen for generations now. But we need to be prepared, and we need to be thinking through that as boards, as trustees, as administrators, as faculty. Like, how are we living into the new changes that are inevitably going to come from this major disruption that we're facing?
Dr. Barry Corey, president of Biola University in beautiful Southern California, thank you so much for your time. God bless you and all your students.
Thank you, Wendy.
Coming up, as churches across the country are closed because of the coronavirus outbreak, we're going to show you how one mega church in Oklahoma is reaching out to those in need in a practical way.
I am Regent's first ROTC graduate student.
Meet the pastors who are preaching the gospel in a fresh, fearless way. I'm Roberto Torres-Cedillo. Join me each week for Next Gen Voices. And watch God transform a generation.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
As churches remain closed due to the COVID-19, one mega church in Oklahoma is offering practical help and hope in a time when many need it. Victory Church in Tulsa has been holding drive-in services with the pastor preaching from the rooftop to thousands parked in their cars. In partnership with small businesses in the area, the ministry has also fed more than 50,000 families who've fallen on hard times due to the coronavirus crisis.
We have small business owners who are giving up their monthly salary and their paychecks to pay for people to have food right now. 53,000 hot meals and groceries to people who are laid off from work, reduced in their hours, and they're saying, if you guys weren't open, we don't know where we would go right now.
That is wonderful, and you can watch that interview on the prayer link tonight on the CBN News Channel at 6:30 Eastern. And that's going to do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. Remember, you can find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel anytime or online at cbnnews.com. Have a great day.